Hi friends of YouTube, welcome back to Ray J's Recording Studio. This is episode 4. I wanted to do this episode for a newfound friend, another comrade in the recording, record at home field here. He inspired me greatly to get this thing started and start my own channel. His name is Donald Forrest Williams. Some folks, you may know him from a band called Big Wreck, and Donald's been an influence of mine from his drum sound and some of the things that he's doing now in his home recording studio, which is great. Some of the cool things that he's been working on, and I will plug his channel, and if you can see on my channel, I have links to his channel, so if you get a chance, go on over, stop over, and subscribe to his channel. It's really good. A lot of good information. And what he asked me to do was, hey man, if you get a chance, I like the way the drums sounded on your last episode, and maybe you can put something together that what you did when you recorded that that demo idea. So I'm going to give it a shot. I do remember what I was using. And right now I got my room kind of torn apart right now with my microphones all over the place. As you can see, I'm actually getting everything all torn apart. I'm going to open up these drums. I did have some tape and things on them before, because like I was saying to you, what I was planning on doing on a couple of my other song ideas, I was using slate trigger along with the drum, blending in my drums. But I'm going to open these drums up like I normally do, tune them up, let them sing, and I'm going to set up the way I normally set up. And I'm going to use my my SE Electronics X1Ds. I'm going to put one in the bass drum. I'm going to try the outside first and just see how it sounds, but normally I put that one in the bass drum in the hole. And then I'm going to use the X1Ds on the toms, and I'm going to use an SM57 on the top snare, and then on the bottom I'm going to use an i5 Audix. And then for the top, as you can see up here, I'm going to mess around with the mic positions just for my overheads, but normally, in this situation here, I'll probably use about 8 channels, maybe 9. I don't want to go overboard, just because when I did record that idea, I think at the time I might have used 7 or 8. I think it was 8 at the time when I did that. So I'm going to continue on, and I'll see you in a few. All right, so let's see, my son Braden's back here. He's hanging out. He was tapping on the mics just to make sure I knew what lines I had which going every which way here. So thank you, B. So anyways, I tuned up my drums, okay, and I wired up my setup, and I was going through an early session there, and actually I had seven microphones on that recording. So on episode 3, you can hear the music in the background. It wasn't, of course I had so many tracks and all kinds of other stuff going on. But this whole thing was kind of going back to what I was trying to do. So the microphones I'm using are the X1D on the drums, on the toms, and in the bass drum, it's the X1D from SE Electronics. I'm using an SM57 on the top of the snare, and an Audix i5 for the bottom of the snare. And then I'm using the Rode ME5s as the stereo pair over top the drums. So I tuned them up. I put some the Roto, the RTOM gels just on the drums, just to kind of get rid of some of the unwanted overtones, especially in this situation. In a recording situation. Here's the session. As you can see here, I'm using 7 tracks. So I built this as Studio One drum test, and if you open up each channel, I don't have anything on them. I just, except for this one. Why do I have stuff still built in there from that thing before? Hold on. Let's remove all this garbage. Yeah, I had some stuff in there before from another tracking thing that I did. I was using this for the 3 mic setup when I was messing around before. Let's see. Let's open them up. So what this does is that arrow on the bottom, it just shows you where you'd put the inserts. Here's your sends. If you wanted to take, say, effects, you would run a send either pre-post or pre-fader, post-fader, and you can, you know, add it to another bus, like an effects bus. But right now, like I said, I'm just trying to get some levels, and I'm gonna get rid of some of this panning. We'll pan the toms a little bit, and then the overheads, I'll run them a little hard right and left, and that'll be it. And I'll try to get some good sounds, move some mics around if need be, and adjust input levels. But that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. So all right, I guess what I'm going to do is try to hit some drums here and see what we got. I'm going to face the camera. I guess what I'll do is I'll face the camera towards the monitor while I'm recording, and it'll probably end up like clipping a little bit, things like that. But I'm going to have Braden hit the circle button here, be right here. Okay, that is the record button. Yeah. And you know the drill, yep. So it's going to get loud. Hit the record button there, buddy. Go ahead. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there you go. All right. So it's recording. So 1. All right. So that's the bass drum snare. Snare drum. It's already like it's pretty hot on the top head. First tom. All right, floor tom. Kick drum. All right, cymbal. That snare drum input is running a little hot. It's clipping. It's in the red. So I have to back that off. Okay, so let me see here. All right, you hit stop, B?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm using. Today I'm using my Octopre, the MK2, and this is kind of where I have my bass drum set at here, which is the X1 D. In the bass drum. No compressions, no compressors enabled. I might put a little bit of compression on the snare drum, but here's where my snare was, and I'm going to back it off a little bit because it was clipping a little. And here's the toms. They weren't clipping. And it's the first 7 channels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, let's go up here. Let's take a look. Okay, can I sit there, bud?
Yeah.
All right, man. And let's see, for the whole kit, you can start seeing where the transients are here. They look like they're lining up pretty good. They don't look bad. Even the snare bottoms don't look too bad from the top, but the snare, you can see already we got some clipping up here when I'm hitting the snare, and you can see there's a clip. You see right up there, it's clipping. There's that little red mark, it's telling me. And I was barely hitting them things like I really wanted to. So of course, when when I'm really performing, I gotta really adjust for that too. So, see you, B.
I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, so let's hear it. Let's hear what everything's a little bit. It's not too shabby. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. All right, I got this thing turned up a little bit more. Oops. I could probably gain up some of the toms, because I got this thing cranked up pretty good already, so. Okay, not too shabby. I mean, it's a start. I'm going to have to adjust it quite a bit to kind of get the levels, the input levels right on the overheads and everything else, but we're getting there. All right. You can see the notes a little bit bigger, getting a little more, a little better input on it. So I'm going to hit some drums again and see what they look like on the screen, and we'll go from there. Now they're gained up a little bit more, so hopefully won't get too much clipping, and we'll go from there. Clip it a little bit. As you can see, the overhead left, clipping a little bit, and still on my snare drum. So I'm going to back that off of my snare a little bit. You can see here, right on this input here, I'm going to back off my input, and on my left overhead, which is 5. Okay, so let's try this again, and then I'm gonna hit the record. Let's go back to 0 here. Return to 0, RTZ. All right, here we go. Like I said, I like to hit each drum at a time, just kind of hear some of the sonics of it. Much better. Lord Tom's got a little bit of a weird tone. Let's see here. Still clipping a little bit on the snare, and still the overhead I got a little bit. I don't know what the heck's going on, but we will fix it. All right, let's go up. Let's hear what it sounds like. That's the snare right there. It looks good. Much better. Toms. I gotta tune that tom a little bit. Floor tom sounds a little goofy. Okay, so it's just a lot of noodling around, back and forth, back and forth. I gotta continue. I'm really hating the way my floor tom sounds. I gotta fix it. It's starting to get kind of goofy with some overtones. So I'm gonna mess with that. And in the meantime, adjust my levels. Again, I'm using 7 tracks. I'm in my 10 by 10 bedroom. I got just a little bit of overtone muffling from the R-toms. In my bass drum, I'm using an Evans. It's one of those little Velcro attachable pillows that I kind of just the little pillow piece sits on the back side of the bass drum. I'm using Remo suede ambassadors on the bottom on all my resonant heads for the toms. The bass drum is a suede ambassador and a calfskin on the front. It's the fiber skin, I think it is. Yeah, it's not an actual. Yeah, it's a Remo, like the synthetic calfskin on the front of my bass drum, and then on the tops I'm using. Let me see. I can't even remember. It's been a while. Oh, coated ambassadors. Coated ambassadors on the batter sides of the toms, and then on the snare I'm using an coated emperor on the top and an ambassador snare side. So that's what I'm using as far as the toms go, and the bass drum and all that good stuff. Just knock the mic over. But anyways, I'm going to continue on, and I'll fade in and out because I'm stopping the camera a minute just to kind of mess around, and then I'll go back and show you what I did. Okay? Yep. Okay, I fixed my floor tom ringing. Just 2 of the lugs were kind of loose, just keeping the floor tom out of tune on the resonant head. But I'm ready to give it a good old try here, and so far everything seems to be, as far as levels go, it's really working out good now. So I'm gonna hit these drums again, play a couple beats, and see how they sound, make sure nothing's clipping, and I guess we'll move to the next step, where I, obviously tuned the drums, got good levels, hitting my interface here, the dynamic, the MK2 dynamic focus rate. And what I did was I enabled on the snare drum, the top and bottom, there's a compressor, the built-in compressors. So I put them and I gauged them, and I ran them right around 12 o'clock. It's not a lot of compression, but just enough. And I gained up the overheads a little more, right around 11 o'clock. My toms are sitting around 12 o'clock, snares about 10 o'clock, and the bass drum's around 1. And that's inside the drum. So I'll do a walk around on how I mic my drums next. But first things first, let's get some recording here. And I am going to engage these tracks. Here we go. looks good. Okay. So, a couple things to think about. It's really cool is when you're in a small room, you can get back and forth being a one-man show. So what I normally do is go back and forth with the drums like I'm doing until I can see. So I have my monitor facing my drum so I could see everything that's going on. I don't have any ISO booths or anything like that, but it works. So anyways, let's give it a listen. Now, there's nothing on it, no compressors, no EQs. Forced, here it is. This is what I use. So after the fact, I did put, you know, the EQs and some gating and things like that. And I will show everybody like kind of what I do. But this is pretty much, once you get a good reference, this is kind of a good start right here. So again, here we go. Are you ready? Okay, so that was that, and it's like around 8:19 right now, and I know I don't want to keep banging away until my wife gets mad at me, which she won't, but she's a trooper and she deals with me all the time messing around and making noises. But I think looking at the notes, the waveforms here on the overheads, I think I'm running them just a little bit too hot yet. And so I'm going to back them off, as you can see here. So here's the drums. This is what I'm using today. I'm using the Rode ME5s along with the SE X1D on the tom, the 57 on the snare top, and an i5 on the bottom. And along with no hi-hat mics, no ride mics, nothing like that. And then I have the X1D on the floor tom. And like I said, I got a couple of the gels on the toms, and it just kind of gets some of that craziness out of the drums. I'm not really clipping or anything or doing anything weird like that. And I'll probably flip the phase, obviously, on the snare drum since I have two microphones on the snare. So I'll flip those with PreSonus makes a little plugin called the Mix Tool, and it has a like a phase flip thing on it. So I'm going to do that, and I think what I'm going to do is put some EQ on this stuff and maybe some compressors. We'll just see. I'm just going to noodle around a little bit, and okay. So I was just noodling around. I played a couple beats, you know, and I'm going to give you a before and after. So this is just no effects at all. And then I was not going to use any gating, but I decided to use just a little bit of gate. And Toontrack makes the Easy Mix plugins that are really nice. They don't suck up a lot of CPU. And they're general plugins, but they actually really work nice on. So I used a general plugin just for compression and EQ, and it's all in like one. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here, and you know, mixing on the fly and putting something together real quick. It sounds really good, and you can, you know, dig in. I will definitely dig into this mix a little more, but here's what it sounds like. Okay, so let me turn this up a little bit. And this is the unaffected mix. Okay, now with affected. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I guess we'll conclude at another time. Thank you, and this is episode, what did I say? Episode 5. And till next time. This was recording drums in my room with 7 channels, using some gates on the bass drum, snare, tom, and floor tom, with using Toontrack's Easy Mix basic effects plugins. And here I will show you one picture of what it looks like. So this is Easy Mix right here. And like they have like an EQ, you'll see an EQ and a transient, where it'll show you kind of what it is. And it gives you, like, for drums, and then there's like a list of all these different EQ mixes to kind of start with. It's pretty nice and simple and very easy to work with. So that's it. All right, I'll talk to you soon, and this is the end of my episode today. Thanks. Have a good day or a good night.